6. I got 6.
But I have kids by 8. Yeah, I did try to get
I got 5 kids. I got 6. Just
Oh,
pop.
just pops. All right. Interesting. There's a concession to it.
Thank
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. For those of you who are wishing to contact any of the Board of Education members, you can reach us at clerk@fulton.dnyric.org. I'd like to call this meeting to order. 1.01, somebody need that, or 1.02. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. In the event of evacuation, we need to leave the building. We can go out the main door behind the Hendricksons, or we can go out through the door over here to Mr. Palvino's office, move as far away from the building as possible. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has nobody signed up for public forum this evening? Can we get someone to approve action 1.06 for February 25th meeting?
Move.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Action 1.07, approve the March budget workshop meeting.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. For our president's report this evening, we'll just take note of some of the meetings that we have coming up for the next month. It is also Music in Our Schools month, so I do know that we have a school treat that I won't jump on Mr. Palvino's parade for that. But also our this weekend starts our musical for Cinderella, for those of you out there who would like to come see a great production. On go back to March 27th. Don't forget, there's the Evening with AI with the Oswego County and the Central New York School Board Associations. That is in Liverpool. Let's see, we have a district art show coming up. Our Oswego BOCES annual meeting is April 2nd. We do need to RSVP by the 14th. We will be RSVPing to if anyone is interested in going, let her know so that she can put that out to city BOCES for us. Art show. Oh yes, and the Battle of the Books is coming up on March 24th as well. So, and then there's also how that turns out for sure. We just want to update you on our superintendent, which will be in the process of interviews shortly. Anything else that you want to say? All right, and then with that, we're going to turn it over to you, Mr. Palvino.
All right. Thank you. So hard to believe our first meeting in March is 2025. And with that, with some better weather for a change, great to see. Hopefully that's the trend. Our Music in Our Schools month is, and if you haven't looked at the calendar at the district level, there is concerts galore. And tonight we're going to be celebrating our Music in Our Schools month here at our board meeting with our Fulton City School District Elementary Chorus performance. We're going to be moving over into the auditorium here at the Ed Center, as we have, my understanding is a collaboration of Lots of kids out there. There you go. Thanks. Yeah, I think we're good.
Ready?
Yeah, we're good. So we're turning back to from the presentation by our joint, was it Volney and Lanigan, right? Our Volney Lanigan concert. How fun was that? It's just a great way to kick off Music in Our Schools month here at the tonight's board meeting. So thank you to all of our families and our students for that. And it's just a great sampling of what we're in store for the next few weeks and throughout the course of the end of the year. But in March in particular, the celebration of music and the arts. The next item I'm just going to put on here is just an announcement. March 13th to 15th is our Quirks Players, Cinderella. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, and she brought up Miss Almeter, as well as a majority, I don't know the exact number, of our music teachers are in the pit crew, the pit band for the musical. It's the first time we've had that many, so I'm excited to see that. I'll be going Thursday night. So can you show that promotional video there, Chris, by chance?
I could, yeah, I share online.
Shoreline, but we can't show it here, right?
Whoever wants to cast it, that can.
All right, we'll put that up there in a few minutes. We'll put that up after. So we'll do that afterwards, Chris, at the end of the board meeting.
Okay.
All right. Just a couple other things. The District Art Show is coming up this Friday night, the 21st. And what's really exciting about that is it will also be up for our Family Fun Day on Saturdays at the same location. So our families will get the opportunity to also see the artwork from across the city on Saturday as well. Our Family Fun Day is on March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. over at the high school. Anything you add to that? Or?
We're going to have lots of activities. We'll have student physicals, stay-at-home course for students. There will be a mobile mammogram available for anniversaries. We have pay and pay commitments learning signs. So we're going to have the St. register, sign up on a permit form so we can do a great mix. And then we'll have a content area, learning tables from our Summon Community Department.
Very good. So should be a lot of fun. We normally get a great turnout for that event, so hopefully it's open to anyone. So hopefully we'll get a great turnout on that Saturday. District Battle of the Books will be coming right up after that on March 24th here at the Ed Center. So if anybody on the board would like to come see, we often have parents come in and listen and watch that event. And I believe that's all of our elementary schools, right? Yeah. And so that's exciting going on. And then we've also got not as exciting, but just as in-depth and important is our Board of Education budget workshop, which will be April 1st. And we know that we're working through a challenging year this year, so we'll continue to do our work that evening. Now we get to more kids tonight. Sorry, you notice I was rushing along to get to this part, right? So we started off with some of our elementary kids celebrating music in our schools. Right now we're going to celebrate our athletes, our student athletes this evening. Mr. L's up at the podium along with, looks like Mr. Briggs. And all of our wrestlers. I had so much fun watching you up at SRC. At one point, I think I have a picture. I have 3 out of the 4 mats with Fulton wrestlers on it. I was hoping to get all 4. But I didn't get that to happen. But it was exciting. So looking forward to this presentation tonight.
Super. Thank you. Thanks for inviting us tonight. I did bring Robert here. Robert's part of the SAC committee, so it's the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. It's a leadership committee put together by Section 3 in New York State Athletics. So Robert is going to go ahead and present tonight's World Wrestlers and some of the summary, and then I'll follow up with the very end some of Robert. Good evening, everybody. So this is our behalf of Fulton Athletics presenting our 24-25 winter season summary. We start off with our girls wrestling team. Just huge congratulations to all of them that are doing a ton of work, and really cool to see move forward with that rise so quickly going. Our girls wrestling team is the biggest team in Section 3 with 32 total wrestlers. They are 29-0 in dual meets this season, over the past 2 seasons. And they were the first ever girls wrestling Section 3 champion, which I think this year's the first tournament, I believe. Congratulations to Nadia Rose on the first ever Section 3 championship. I believe that's individual. And And congratulations to Marissa Crowfoot for her first ever full place finisher at the New York State tournament. I'd now like to invite Marissa up to talk a little about
herself. Wrestling has really played a big part in my life, not just over the last few years that I've done it, but I've been in the sport of wrestling for my entire life. And now that I've been given the opportunity to do it, it's really shown me how much a simple thing can really change a person. Wrestling will push you both mentally and physically, and it really pushes you to change yourself and work for yourself. And without being given the opportunities I've been given, I would be nowhere near that today. And I'm thankful for everything that this sport has done for me.
Now moving on to our scholarship teams. This award is given out to teams that earn a cumulative average of 90 or higher. So this year that went out to our swimming team, boys and girls basketball, boys and girls wrestling, girls indoor track, and girls bowling. And speaking of our girls bowling team, we'd like to congratulate them on winning the Section 3 championship. And good luck to our girls bowling team as they compete Friday as a team at the state competition at Strike and Spare in Maggie. And several of them, including one of our boys, will also be competing Saturday in the composite, which is an all-star team tournament for the section. That is happening Saturday. And congratulations to all our teams and all the hard work and dedication that we put in this.
So I did want to just finish up and let you just know some of the great things that Robert's been doing this year. You're probably wondering why he was up there. You know, Robert's part of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. He was selected. Each section has a committee of about 25 to 30 members. The New York State Athletic Office elects 2 members, a male and a female, from each section to represent at the state level. 6 times a year, the state elected the members, such as Robert, via Zoom, to discuss better ways to serve their section. They then meet after the state meeting with the section members to relay the initiatives at the state. Holden's lucky enough to have Robert Briggs selected as the section 3 state representative. Robert has been to several leadership conferences. He was at the Dome the past 2 Novembers. He was at Albany in April, again this coming April. But most importantly, Robert, and I just asked him tonight, he's getting nervous talking. So Robert has presented at league athletic director meetings, athletic directors, section-wide athletic director meetings, over 100 athletic administrators present. Section-wide, and he presents section-wide initiatives to improve officials' interactions before and after games. He's actually on the news for that. Many of the SAC committee members. And actually, Robert was invited personally to call me and said, "Listen, free on Thursday because so, of course, Robert can go whenever he wants to go. He's got good grades and he's just this past week, Robert was at Cooperstown, did a leadership conference last week. He's one of the organizers. He presented in front of about 400 student athletes. Presented the guest speaker. And some of the things he has presented on this year is officials' appreciation, mental awareness for athletes, and again, the introduction of guest speakers. Robert has done an amazing job. Extremely proud of everything he's done. He's really done, so thank you, this concludes my report for tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
I want to say, first to Robert, I know I told you this last year, you're a remarkable young man, and we appreciate you being the voice for our section and our student athletes here. Nervous speaking, I don't know. I don't think you've ever been nervous speaking in front of us, so.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being that voice, and going to all of these conventions, conferences and stuff at your age, and did you say that you helped organize the last one? Or?
Yeah, it's so I was like one of the kind of helped like get the schedule going and help with a lot of the keynote speakers and stuff that were coming in and really trying to help everyone. And we're running around all day, making sure all the food was ready and all sorts of stuff. So it was a busy day. It's a little learned a lot.
What a great experience for you. That's fantastic. And well, all of our teams, they have seem to be knocking it out of the park this year, grade-wise, out on the field courts. So it is great to have that wonderful athletic student presence academically as well in our district, but to our lady wrestlers. I mean, it's just a few years ago that, I still remember them all sitting in the audience thinking we were going to say no. And I can't imagine not having found the finances to be able to get this team up and running. I mean, you guys have done some really great things, and we are proud of you. We see you. We see what you guys are doing. So keep doing a good job and doing what you love. Thank you for doing it.
I'd just like to piggyback off that too. Robert, you do great things. People definitely know who you are. You're a standout, and congratulations and thank you for doing everything you've done this year. To the girls varsity wrestlers, you did not get the recognition that you deserve. You worked your butts off. And what you did and the things you guys did individually and accomplished, that just Marissa, you put it perfectly, that you probably would never have accomplished without it. You didn't know you could do it. You weren't put in a position where you had to do it. And on the mat, you have to do it, and you did it. So congratulations, you guys have a lot to be proud of.
I just want to say that, I wrote down, I looked back at my black book, my old black book I carried around from a couple of years ago, and the night that we presented, when you talked about wrestling and we approved, I used the term pioneers. Look what you've done just in a few short years, as Ms. Appledore and Ms. Mainville have indicated. Just your pioneers. You're the first Section 3 team. I've heard you're the largest, one of the largest teams, if not in the section in the state. I noticed when I was at SRC, we had many more than any other team. So proud. Your coaches, thank you for all of the coaches and the adults that are working with you. You're a part of making that happen. I truly appreciate that. Congratulations. Thank you. It was just so proud when I was watching you at that last event at SRC to see the way you come together. And if you've been to those wrestlers, they come together like I've never seen. You just are so supportive of one another. It's something that really sticks out to me when I watch you as you support as individuals, as Melissa said, but also as a collective. It's very interesting watching you, and it's been fantastic. So I'm very proud of you, and you should be very proud of yourselves. Thank you to your families. That's a big commitment with the wrestling and the time that it's there. So good luck. I'm going to ask a question. How many of you are thinking about wrestling in college? I heard that's a thing now. Yeah? Well, I wish you much success. I've heard it's growing across the country and across universities, more and more girls wrestling teams. So look forward to seeing many Fulton representatives in the future. So thank you.
They do have to get the practice.
Unless you really want to take it for a more specific content. You're all set. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
We are to try the zipper on every young girl in the kingdom, every last one. No matter how unlikely she looks, we are to keep trying until we find one that fits. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Where are we anyway?
I believe it's called Fulton, Your Highness.
My fair maiden? Maybe we'll find my fair maiden here. We must find her.
Here you are.
At this rate, we should try the slipper on myself.
Here you are, Your Highness.
Oh, come on! Not again.
Before we go, my lord, could we grab something from the bakery?
We're here to see about a princess?
Fill out the form.
Do I even have to say it?
Move the pillow, it's time for your checkup.
So you want me to try that slipper on? These feet? That is definitely not happening.
So what do we do now?
I believe they will just have to see the musical to find out.
Hey, did you see that carriage?
I believe that's called a Kia.
I believe they will just have to see the musical to find out. Hey, did you see that carriage? I believe that's called a Kia.
That's great.
So thank you to our students for putting that together. It's a great way. Makes you want to make sure you go to the musical so you can find out who gets that slipper, right? So looking forward to that. So thank you to everybody who put that video together for promotion. Our S accountability status and updates. So can we get that up on the screen? Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Hendrickson will be presenting our S accountability.
So again, I'd like to take just a moment to review the SFA. It's the main federal law that dictates all public education and insurance policies and quality education. It requires the state to hold public schools accountable for student achievement. And the goal is to make sure all students succeed regardless of their background or their school location. So I'm reminded that 2 years we paused the community in 2019 to 21 school year due to the effect of COVID. It was restarted in the 2022-23 school year. And the results that we're going to share tonight are based on the 23-24. So this is a 1 year. Again, the point of this to review and hold ourselves accountable is really have conversations about what we're doing well and where we need to improve, and to help direct funds to support schools. So the accountability system goes beyond just looking at the English and math, but it includes science and social studies, non-academic factors include comic absenteeism, college career, and school readiness. And each of the subjects are ranked 1 through 4. So we get overall performance for students, and then we also get scores in subgroups for each country. So we're going to go over those pieces. Next year, we're going to change the absenteeism to attendance. So then we're going to get scores from 1 to 4. So each year is going to be very
In order to qualify for one of the subcategories, if you look at the subunits of where we are scored, we have to have 30 students or more in that subgroup. So you'll see some of the areas there aren't scores or indicators. That's because we didn't have enough in those subgroups to qualify. And that sometimes changes year to year because we're in the science district where sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. Actually.
So schools are classified into 3 categories: training, CSI, which is comprehensive support and improvement, and TSI, targeted support and improvement. So we jump right down to TSI. That's really recommended to our schools. So in order to recognize designated as a TSI, you have 1 or more student subgroups receiving a level of 1 on multiple indicators. And so subgroup is included in accountability calculations, and I'm not sure if that was talking about the calculations of the subgroup is very generally. was a graphic just the comparisons between the subgroups. So they're compared to performances of the same subgroup in multiple other schools and districts. And then when they're being compared, they're given a score of 1 to 4 based on where the subgroup lies, because if they're in the bottom 10%, the 10 to 50%, and so again, the rankings are to ensure equity among all the different subgroups and identify where we need to improve. So when you're designated a TSI school, the first thing we're going to do is conduct an assessment. And then we're going to implement at least one school-wide improvement strategy that's supported by the district. We'll be releasing surveys again, similar to the ones we did in the fall, but we're going to tweak a few of the questions to make sure we target the subgroups that were identified. And then we'll monitor that for 2 years. If no improvement over the 2 years in the school or the district, we will classification or change to CSI.
Technically, the 2014 is year one, so on those 2 years, we just are moving on this now. That's why it's a 2 year. Most of our work is going to happen next year in year 2, because we just got a designation in year 1 in February.
Who creates the assessment?
It's New York State, which is 3rd to 8th grade.
It's
That's the at the high school, it's legal schools.
So currently, third grade is designated as a targeted support improvement volume as well. When we have 2 schools designated as targeted supports, then the district is also there.
It's been quite a few years since we've been in this management.
Not
2 years.
2017, like I found the letter that I wrote to community. It would have been the first time it ended. I believe so.
So this slide breaks down where and why we're designating these subgroups. So on the left-hand side of the subgroups, students with disabilities, Hispanic students, and then for Hispanic students and white students. So further on those subgroups in multiple categories are the ones, and then volume is students with disabilities. Timeline of our next action steps. In February, they will release the accountability status. This month, we're notifying tonight of our status for the board. Tomorrow morning, we'll send out letters to parents and staff. We've already begun establishing our school and district team, and we submitted the school improvement grant and funds this week. Our next step is to administer the parent, student, and staff survey. We'll then complete the next steps to Form 5. And we're hoping to get those plans approved. Then we'll have the ability to apply for the basic funding and support the implementation of our plans. Our focus is really going to be building upon our strategic governance plan we already have started. For the 5-year plan established, we're going to have to make some adjustments to it based on getting releases from the state, for instance, the literacy degrees, pre-K3 best instructional strategies, math and science, these are the gaps in everything that they incorporate those into our strategic governance plan. We already have a pretty good foundation with our surveying of our parents and students, with this information after 2 events. With feedback, we're also going to be conducting student interviews. This will be with student information and how we need to follow and
So I think those are important things to consider. That we have our strategic plan, which we have laid out for the next 5 years. It's got some dynamic pieces built in that allow us to change. What this does, us having to do a decent district comprehensive plan from the state will focus in more on those subgroups and hopefully give us some strategies like those student interviews that weren't part of our plan already, that will give us more information directly from the kids about what they need, what's going on, what's missing, what needs to be added in their life. So
the plan will just be implemented and translated in the buildings for the all four elementary and then the behind high school learning things so we can translate strategy so it's going to be the district focus.
That is the 2-year plan, but next year, therapy, so really it would be year 2 and 3 before we could possibly move up to the next. And then is it the same kind of thing, another 2 years?
I know we different indicators as we move. There's just the state stuff releasing next year. The accountability system is going to be tweaked a little bit, so I'm having information.
You know, we'll be just basing the scores alone, and look at growth, and look at summary, where people are, what's going on with those as well. And the designations aren't necessarily changing, they're evolving. So they are changing a little bit, but they're evolving over the next few years for what's going to qualify and what will keep us in a good standing for a school that's targeted or with the we're not qualified.
CSI.
So I'm sorry,
Target school identification. So that's a point too, when looking at all the buildings results and looking at where there's differentiated as PCSI, so we're going to show ourselves now to avoid those subject standards outside of the teacher.
We'll replicate those best practices.
Do we do common formative assessments at the end of the like? Do all the buildings do the same, or is it per building? Across grade level? Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, so our common curriculum is really driven, and we had benchmark assessments that we developed 10 years ago, and we've actually moved into like what we do for Eureka Math across the district. Data that's collected with that, the information policies serves us as those kind of formats. And then when our professional learning teams get together, they're looking at that data. They're
That's usually 6 instructional focus guides, and then these are come out every month, and then the next month has each quarter how they're assessing and if the performance assessments learn kind of goes on. So if they like move from school to school, just uses
the good news is not just within the district, we've really tightened that up, but even across the county, when we get together with our counterpart assistant superintendents across the county, we're not all on the same page, but we're getting closer and closer. So our kids that we move from Annabelle next door, Center Square, are getting a very similar experience. We're not quite on the same page as we'd like to be, but we're way closer to moving down. So they are good.
And the one that's just learning through, we had a lot of snapshots at the end of the quarter, and we look forward to things like common assessments throughout the 10 weeks. So we have multiple opportunities to give feedback to students and families along with the quarter versus just the ones that they act. Like a shift like that. That's a really important thing. The heavy lift was like heavy projects, but it's a lot of work in here. That's so needed and so useful. Thank you. I have a question. So when we're talking about sending out surveys to families, especially when we're talking about the FCSD centers, are we able to survey and give open-ended questions and give the families areas to suggest issues to solve these problems? So if we're going to talk about FCSD and then instead of saying, you know, how many days do kids miss and how often they miss and what are the barriers to getting your children to school and what are ways that we can help support you and maybe. We have some open-ended ones in there now, and actually we're just looking at Mr. on specific questions about product accuracy and this is filled into is the fact that we could add a few more to dig down to specific those questions. Okay, and then
So this year we're gonna stick pretty closely to what we did in the fall, sort of kind of as a pre-post. Like what the survey that we sent in the fall focused on those 3 areas: culture, systems, and learning. This one will be very similar. Going into next year, as we survey, then we'll make the changes to do the pre-post next year as well. So, and next year, it won't be chronic absenteeism, it'll just be attendance. So we want to look at it. Really, the focus is going to those 4 levels. It won't be just the kids who are chronically absent. We'll focus on how does attendance impact us. For kids who are 95% or above, 90% or above, 80 to 90 and above.
but with chronic absenteeism, they know one of them setting goals. I guess my thing is like, how do we become more aggressive in fighting? I mean, this has been a huge issue for the board that we've been talking about. So, I mean, yeah, we can look at the students and you guys are there and the attendance rate, but really, that doesn't seem to be in there for many for their investment time. It's just very missing, it's kind of absent. So I guess my question is, I know we're going to start implementing things next year, but how are we going to become more aggressive dealing with these issues?
Like we said, I think it's collecting of data. This is, I feel, is one piece of information that I think we need to have as listening to our conference and using interviews, specifically asking them questions, what are your barriers, what are the reasons I'm trying to get to school and help support. And then that may even be home visits, if they're not in school. So that's definitely something that is going to be part of it.
Part of our strategic plan is that idea of changing the culture, the learning culture for our kids. And we know systems change take 3 to 5 years. So the idea of like we're in year one, the starting of our culture of goal setting for kids, that was the focus this year. And we started with attendance and looking at that. Next year, we met with our elementary and secondary curriculum counselors today. Next year, the focus is going to be planning. So not just putting the data in front of kids and saying this is my attendance rate, but if kids say like, oh man, I didn't realize that I'd missed this many days, then it becomes the plan. Okay, you're not where you want to be. What does it look like for the next 5 weeks to get you to the next level? And teaching that system of goal setting, not just for attendance, but more importantly, for the academic pieces, because we also know that attendance is a result of, not a cause of, right? If kids are academically focused and engaged and want to be at school because of their achieving and doing well, they're more likely to come. Getting them there is important. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying if we have them academically performing and achieving with what they need, they're more likely to come, and the attendance should resolve itself. If we get them there and they're not engaged, they're less likely to stay.
Right, and I understand the planning part, and I understand setting a goal in 5 weeks and checking down that data, but I guess my view is why, after we identify those students who are currently absent, why also can't we do the planning piece, but also send a homeschool liaison or GSO or whatever, also in conjunction with the planning piece and work it together to make sure that we're doing everything that we can so kids aren't going to crash the whole other year.
Like start it now because we already know the kids.
So,
right, I feel school liaisons, yes, I'm teaching, they're already doing those pieces, they're doing home visits, or their individual plans for those students.
I think there's a misnomer here that I just wrote down base. And the reason I wrote base because it was something that struck me. One, and the surveys, I think one of the things you brought up at the last meeting calendar, and I think we could build in, are what are solutions? You started to say that. What are solutions from parents about that? I think that's an, I thought, yeah, so I wrote that down. But the other is we are already planning on the 25th of March, which is our next meeting, to do an SCP update, right? That's on our calendar. Mm-hmm. And what that is you'll hear about the goal setting. I'm wondering if we could talk to, I don't know if it could be ready for the next meeting, but if we could talk to Tammy Sheldon to talk about, I'm not sure, I think we need to say publicly what we're doing. There's a lot of things going on to combat attendance with our student support teams, with our PLCs, our PLTs. There's a lot of discussion going on, and the work going on specifically with individualized kids. The other piece I brought up at the state level, and Brenda was with me when we were meeting with politicians, when we went to lobby day, we also brought up the fact that we need to really look at that system outside our schools as well, working with our counties around, whether it's the old-fashioned pins, petitions, and all of that. But that's not been as aggressive as it used to be because there hasn't as much access. So that's part of the system. So we talked to Senator Ryan as well as Assemblyman Barclay about that because that's a part of the continuum of supports. But I'm wondering if our Director of Student Support Services could perhaps put together just a brief overview of what are those things that are in place and going around to combat particular attendance. Because I think what we need after listening is a real good base about what we're doing now, so we can build off of that. That's what I agree with Ms. Hutchinson.
Yes, absolutely.
And I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
Yes, and our stakeholders need to know, what, because we don't really know. We just hear the numbers and we say, well, we've got plans in place and things like that. So yeah, that would be wonderful. A couple more questions. With the TSI, I know you said that one of the things is that we're going to increase supports in place. What areas specifically are we looking to increase supports in these schools, and these areas, in which are these?
So the subgroups, we look at where we're designated. And again, it's not just a fair grade involving issue. Our students that are economically disadvantaged, our students with disabilities. And when you look at all students and white students, a majority of our students in Fulton fall into those categories. So this really becomes a tier one instructional piece, engagement and instructional piece. How do we meet the needs of all of our kids? Do a better job with that. We also know part of the strategic plan is when kids are drivers rather than passengers, they're more likely to be engaged. So the idea of goal setting and turning them into drivers rather than passengers in their learning is part of that. So looking at the subgroups and looking at the whole picture and saying, okay, how are we moving the whole piece forward? But then how do we make sure that we don't lose people in those subgroups?
Well, if we're at that level one, and we're seeing that, oh, hey, it's our ELA and our math scores, the support's in place. Are we adding more ELA or math support to that subject? Or as you're saying, tier one, I mean, obviously we're not going to take every kid in class, but, you know, we have X amount of teachers that need to support what we have already. We're adding more, so.
We have surveys that like interviews any of those pieces. We can't really answer that directly, but we based on looking at that information, the team will then analyze it, and then we make recommendations for the plan. There's several protocols that we have to follow for the students that are sending questions, and we have to check in. So based on that, that's when the drive for the targets will be developed and goals will be set.
And I will tell you, the state gives us indicators, or areas to look at. The first one is goal setting. So the number one thing they say is get your kids goal setting. We're already on that path. We have to clean it up. We have to make it stronger. We have to build it. But that's their number one thing. When they say when kids own it, they're more likely to be successful.
And then one last question: how do students like disruptive behaviors quicker than correlate with these indicators? Are we finding more behaviors like at every school versus other schools that's interrupting the learning, or?
That would be a hard stretch right now to just say off the top. It's something that we look at a lot. We can look at our behavior, and it's part field. It's also part of the data that we look at. We know that data is only as good as how clean it is and what you do with it. So it doesn't really give you answers. It just makes you ask more questions. So to that point, it is one of the questions that we're asking and digging into is how do we support that? Because like attendance, getting kids in the seats and then staying there and behaving and getting engaged in learning is all part of this. It's hard to learn if you're not there. It's also hard to learn if you're present but not engaged.
And it's also hard for those other students to learn. The ones who are causing trouble might not be in this subgroup.
And I don't want to make the jumps to say that because what we're seeing behaviorally isn't just a fair grade issue.
No, I know.
She just picked that up, I'm sure, because of the
Right.
So that's part of the plan too, is how can we dig into that support kids?
And also, again, if there are trends, are there certain things that kids are all answering incorrectly? We're all getting the same thing. That would be an instructional piece that we could identify. So I think it's looking at all of those things. Obviously, engagement in the classroom is the most important thing is tier one instruction in the classroom. We also know that we've got a lot of behavioral challenges and academic challenges and social challenges, and we have a range. We know that. We know what we're facing. And I think the piece I wrote down was also as we build budget, we need to think about what are those driving those resources that we have or we don't have, and prioritizing those that we have to try to meet those needs. And I think our work at the primary level, I think our early childhood work is going to make a difference. We have 169 kids in early childhood. So we're identifying those kids earlier, hopefully academically as well as behaviorally and socially. And we also need to then build that and extend that into our kindergarten, first grade, and then right up through 12. I think one of the things that was very noteworthy the other day was our 8th graders, and they've been here at our civic readiness, but I got to watch them again presenting to the 7th graders. And they all talked about how much more engaged they are with instruction where it's hands-on, interactive, problem solving. That in itself goes back to kind of the crux of the conversation. that started tonight was how do we get our kids more engaged? Our kids are engaged with active learning and active opportunities. Clearly, from our eighth graders are showing us that, and they were pitching that to the seventh graders as they're embarking on their project for their civic readiness for eighth grade. So this was kind of whetting their appetite, getting them excited about their project in seventh grade. So I think we're going to be building that both directions and learning how do we figure out ways to engage our kids differently, which goes along with the portrait of a graduate, which is going to be pathways, which is going to be very different than sitting and taking exams. It's going to be a wide range of opportunities for kids to demonstrate what they know and what they can do.
Yes, I agree. I think I picked out, February specifically because I know that, that behaviors have been an issue in that school. Maybe with question 107 in there to also help us with URL and see, this. I'm just wondering how that correlates and if that's an area that we focus on doing those focus on. Yeah. So thank you guys so much.
And I want to thank for all the work you've done around early childhood. The earlier we can get it, the better. So you talked about combating some of the behavioral things. I would be very interesting to see what it would look like if we didn't have all the early childhood 4-year-olds that got that program as that are 5-year-olds now. I think there's a greater number of kids that are coming in with a wider range of interesting needs. And that's what we need to dig into. And I think the early childhood is going to help us. So thank you for supporting those 9 classrooms, because I think that's making a difference. And I think it'll make a bigger difference as we learn more.
What's the biggest reason they give for not showing up at school?
We haven't had any of that.
Oh, you haven't. The ones that we had on.
We've done surveys, but the kids don't get into the civics will ask. This will be one-on-one questions with the kids where we sit down. So, okay. I know Mr. Murray's working on a dropout and exit survey that he wants to ask specifically for kids who have exited to see what was it that kept you here when you were here, and what was it that didn't keep you here longer. We specifically, we just met with him, knew the questions he wants to ask, and what's called. It's been a pet project that's been bugging him for a while too.
That would be a good thing for all students. Students are ready to go up to the place. We did that a while back and just stopped. We were doing that. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like from somebody looking at and not knowing exactly what's going on every day, like internally, because I know that, we work hard. Everybody's working hard. But it's almost like we're like spinning our wheels, and adults are just working, and the kids are just flailing. And it just seems like it's more of the same every single year, and with added problems. And it just seems like it's not. I don't think there is one solid answer, but it just seems like we're stuck in one place and we haven't moved forward. We're not moving forward. We're just falling behind.
This is why we were talking about, again, in case fall, what systems do we need to really strengthen that we really focus on, that everyone's on board with? Is it writing? Is it paper charts? Is it, something that holds us together that we can see the going through? So that, a lot of things. We're going to focus on a few.
I'm just hearing kids learn better than they're. So when my kids come home and I'm like, okay, so how's school? They're like, yeah, we're watching movies. We watch this, we do this. And it's just, do we get everybody on board and trying to, that's very hard. You can't tell a teacher how to teach, but have the expectation that you're doing hands-on activities, for the 5 days, and we're going to collect the data. And I don't have the answer. I wouldn't be sitting here, I'd be rich. But how are we going to move forward instead of staying the same for the kids that we have now?
It really, those circles are super intentional, and sometimes it's lost how simple they are, but what they really do, and that is the culture here is what we need to, like, for our kids, for our adults. That idea of the work we do is important, not just for the adults, but for the kids. It matters. The things we say, the things we do with kids, the time we put into them is important. The time that they put in is important. Their ability to do that is important. To your point about the everyone pulling together, I always think of the scene in Finding Nemo when they're in the net and all the fish are swimming together down, right? That's the hardest part of our job. It's to get everyone swimming in the same direction. And that's really what the systems instructors piece comes into. Until you get everyone pulling in the same direction, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen if everyone has good intentions, but they're all kind of straying in different directions. That's when the systems instructors piece comes in, and that's really the focus of our strategic coherence plan is how do we build these systems where everyone's pulling together. And for the people who aren't, they kind of get pulled in that direction anyway because the general pull of everyone moves them forward.
I think there was a point in the fall when we were talking, I think it was absenteeism or something like, what is one small thing that we can do in Fulton consistently and everybody do it together every single day? And it was just sort of put by the wayside, like, what are we going to do one simple thing to all together, like this is a non-negotiable. What are we going to do together, every single building, every single teacher, every single student, to move forward? And it doesn't have to be big, but at least we have something to show what we can do if we are moving forward.
And I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think too, and I could be way off base with this too, is I think like getting everything together to figure out like whether it's a collaborative, like an innovative lesson plan instead of, like one of the great three theories and going, the module or doing that, and instead of, working out of this module, like how do we get our groups together to do that hands-on, project or something and, make something innovative and exciting for our students. I'm not saying that our teachers don't, they do, they work constantly. They're some of the hardest work to do by another team. In fact, sometimes it gets defeated and it's hard to get those hands-on things and things like that. So what do we need to do to support them and give them time, whatever, and do that well? I would think that's a message that we're sending this year. I always say to these other times, we say, well, better you do that on here. Our philosophy, Dr. Goldman, saying we want to annotate the manuals at the elementary. We know this is a better practice, so we write that in here. You have to do this worksheet. You're going to do 4 corners. You're going to do this presentation. We encourage that. We want extra. So we're trying to dismantle that thought that we have to stick to that. It's how we get creative. We have more and more grade levels asking to have district meetings to do that first planning. So I think we're, again, slowly moving to that piece.
So the key there is to keep the anchor the same. The essential standard has to be the anchor. That's what everyone has to teach to, because when we allow people to go off on their own, some people say, but I don't really like fractions a whole lot, so I'm going to teach this instead. And we end up with big gaps for a lot of our kids in different schools, different places, different courses. So when we have the same essential anchor standard that people can then backwards plan from, then we can have the creative. And we're finding more and more of that, but it has to be, it can't be just like, let's be creative, try something fun. It needs to be based on this learning that we're going to do.
Common something that we established.
So, okay.
I guess I'm thinking more of like absenteeism too, just because it's so numerically cut and dry. Is there a way that, and I don't know if this is possible, but is there a way that, after 4 absences in a month, you can expect that so-and-so is going to go to your home and we're going to find out why you were absent, or make the phone call, or do something that is consistent throughout the district by number. Just a protocol. This is what you can expect if you're. Do we have that? And if so, should we shrink it?
Right. That's why I'm going to have Michelle, because I think you'd be surprised. I think we haven't done a good job communicating it. Now I think about it, we've never had that office. Jerry Geithner back in the day would do something, but Tammy has not done a presentation. I think we need to do that because our homeschool liaisons, like when I do a meeting on a student and the homeschool liaison is present at the meeting, they know very much what's going on with that kid, backwards, forwards, up, down. And I get to meet kids when they're making poor choices. And so part of that often is also their attendance happens. We talk about their attendance, academics, and their behavioral referrals as part of the meeting with me, for example. And it's very helpful when the liaison talks about, they know them extremely well and what's going on. They know the dynamics. They know in most cases why they're not coming to school or what the challenges are for them, whether it's homelessness, whether it's, last year we had, Tammy, get the correct number, at one point there were 242 different kids It's 8% of our population who are homeless, identified as McKinney-Vento students. That was 8%. And when you think about that, that in itself is an astounding number. It doesn't sound big percentage-wise, but when you hear 242 out of 3,100 kids, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. Great. Thanks.
All right. And our last item this evening on the superintendent's report, Ms. Hooper, if you could talk about the budget, please. I know we have a budget workshop coming in a couple of weeks and another budget board meeting. We're going to provide just a targeted update tonight. Lots of drivers tonight with our board or our flow. Kick it over. That's good.
That's thanks.
That's right, great.
Yeah.
So we have had kind of targeted updates tonight, and the service attendants will just share everything. It's pretty coherent plan. I really just have the one slide for you, where I did add a column for 1.9% tax increase, so you can see lots of options or scenarios, I guess is a better word, of the potential tax levies that we can discuss further when we meet again. The third from the end, the 1.9 is the one that I added based on our last discussion.
We'll just run through that, Kate. So what surplus deficit means, what do we?
Just focusing on the 1.9 now. Yeah, so that, at the very bottom, you can see that would represent an overall levy increase dollar amount of $431,390. You know, I still have in there the use of reserves to help offset some of the deficit. Still leaves us with $3.9 million to make up in order to get a balanced budget. So that's the $94,653,082 is our revenue number. With the 1.9% increase. So still work to do, but we're working on it.
So the idea is at the March 25th meeting, we'll meet with the board and provide more definitive. We did go back to the drawing board after the last meeting. We've done that. I think, obviously the healthcare, we're looking at different strategies around healthcare. We're looking at, all of the different parts of our organization. Unfortunately, the heavy amount of our I think it's 75% of our is towards our human resources. So we're a school district, so we're looking at all of those components. So we'll bring that forward on the 25th. We'll get more information. Obviously, one of the things that I'm curious about is the one house budgets came out today. I saw the MISBA right before this meeting. Actually, I didn't even read them yet. But the one house budgets, I believe you get those, the MISBA updates from Ms. Gressel. And so they came out today. I'll be curious about what's in those. And then the other piece is on April 1st, that's when the governor is supposed to roll out a budget for New York State, a finalized budget. And I'm curious with it, I'm hearing some different kinds of things. I've heard that both of the one house, or at least the assembly side, was looking at increasing the safe harmless seems to be a very big focus across the state. We're not in that, but I'm curious about how that may impact us. Hopefully in the positive, hopefully that would increase us a little bit. I don't know. Hopefully not go backwards. So I think that's a piece of this that we have to look at as well. And then we'll go forward. The 25th, we'll provide a broader update, and then we'll tackle it. Hopefully by the 1st, we'll have it very clear. We may have to, again, we'll look to see if there's any other, everything that we're looking at, healthcare, all of the different things we're looking at, all of our different programs, processes, everything to see if there's anything we can do. And I think our conversation that we had in the last presentation, I think is something that we need to look at is, as you've got struggling learners and other pieces that we need to build in, making sure that we have a budget that best supports the needs, of our broad range of kids. We have kids 0 to 100 on the spectrum and everything in between. and we need to build a balanced budget that meets the needs, best meets the needs of all of our kids. Else, Kate? I'm good. Right, that's the conclusion of the superintendent's report. I hope my significant other and I were going Thursday night to the musical. Looking forward to kicking off that night. I'm hoping you all get the opportunity. And just the brief film there was a great thing to say. Wow, I just want to go because I need to find out who. And with that, I turn it back over to Ms. Applebaum.
Thank you, everybody. Action 4.01, accept financial. Somebody move it.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Action 4.02, accept donation from anonymous sender.
Move it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Thank you very much for that generous donation. Action 4.03, accept a donation from American Credit Union.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Thank you for that generous donation as well. Action 5.01, approve Committee on Special Education. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Action 5.02, approve poll workers. Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Action 5.03, approve revised contract with the City of Fulton Special Patrol Officers, School Resource Officers. Second. I just have a quick question. In the contract, it says that they were having their evaluations on March 1st, or it's what it says it should be done around or by March 1st. Is the evaluation for the entire program, or are they for individual? It is for the entire program. I just wanted to be clear, and we've done them already. Up to date.
It's just a conversation between the district and the PD and the house. We actually talked to them. That's how we came up with the revised agreement.
All right. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if it was on the whole. Thank you for the clarification. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Action 5.04 is a roll call for the approve the vehicle bond resolution. Can somebody move that?
Move it.
All right. And yes. Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mrs. Hutchinson? Yes. And Mrs. May? Yes. Okay. Action 5.05 is to approve the annual meeting resolution.
Move
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Policies of first reading for the meals and refreshments. Is there any discussion? We'll be voting on that at our next meeting. Would my colleagues be interested in batching 7.01 to 7.07 for the personnel? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 400. Board forums. Would you like to start us off?
Sure. I just first wanted to shout out this news committee. I saw it earlier on my review. Phenomenal. I was very impressed by it. The kids did a really great job, and I'm also looking forward to those students this week. Shout out to our winter sports. Everybody was doing so well. We really, I know we highlighted and these festivals, and they all really worked so hard and they did such a great job. Thank you for our donation as well. We just really, I just wanted to, there's so much going on this month in our district. There's really an opportunity for everybody, whether it's sports or musicals or the family fun day. There's really amazing opportunities there as well. So thank you for that as well. That is all I have.
I think, chorus tonight, wonderful job. I want to thank sports, they're doing great, especially wrestling. Kate for her presentation, you gotta get it down there. More. That's an idea. Brian's retiring. Do we have to replace him? And yes, are you doing, Brian, are you doing the thing for, on 22nd? For that Saturday, are you doing, remember how we did
budget
with the board?
We hadn't done it in 2 years.
Oh.
What we've done is we did better moving around and talking to people and things like that. That was the feedback that we got because nobody came to our sessions.
I know.
One or two.
One or two, that was
Okay, on a fun day.
Yeah. Questions, they come and chat with us. Kind of. And then we went into sessions together and we probably scared everybody else out,
Yeah.
so thank you.
And that's it.
Yes, thanks to all the parents and all the kids and coaches and teachers for coming out and putting on a great performance, speaking. We have a lot of great things coming up. Looking forward to spring, new goals. That's it. Yeah.
I had an opportunity to meet with the Oswego County School Boards Association last week. Their biggest presentation that they're putting together, as you guys all know, is the AI presentation. But they are responsible for a lot of our meet and greets with our assemblymen the last couple of years. They also, in conjunction with the Central New York School Board Association, and they have put on some things through the arts. Central New York Arts Association and done some other great things. They're looking for some new vibes. If anyone's interested, they are looking for members in all of the county school districts. But they did ask me to reach out. I know that Jen has sat in on a meeting. But if there at any point in time, any of my other colleagues want to join with meetings, are usually on Monday nights. I can let you know. But they're looking for new and fresh ideas, and they want bigger involvement. So if you have friends on the board or in school districts that we may work in that we might want to reach out and just kind of let them know about the AI presentation, trying to fill as many seats as possible. It is open to our administrative team as well, and we could even open that up to Mr. Schmidt because they did talk about, one of the districts asked about our director of technology coming as well, since it's kind of going to be their avenue. So if it's something that, anybody's interested, I think we said that. Going and, okay. So that would be great for the AI. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. So,
I have meetings too. I just want to piggyback on what you said when I went. It's so laid back and there's so many things going on that I had no idea about. And I would have gone again, but I had a game, and I encourage, if you have the time, just go and sit in, even if it's just once or twice. It's mind blowing what is going on, and you have no idea.
And how so many resources,
so many different avenues and opportunities.
And you guys should be, and if you're not already, I do know that Central New York School Board Association usually sends out emails quite often about things that are going on and things that they're interested in. See them up. I've been seeing a lot more popping through lately than we have. So
just putting everything together, you just see it's neat. It is good. Worthwhile.
Cinderella this weekend is going to be wonderful. I was thrilled to be able to see the littles do their thing. There is so much more energy. I was telling Mrs. Hutchinson as we were walking in, even from when my kids were little, you know, you're a proud parent, you love the show that was put for you, but the energy that came from tonight, that's just a whole, I was kind of picking out who our next sport players might be up there on the stage this evening. So I know we're looking forward to the orchestra coming in a couple weeks. Our concerts are still live streamed. So if somebody wants to be able to jump in on some of those concerts, you can go right to our website. You can live stream those concerts because all of our schools are signing over.
I have to look at that. That I do. I
Yeah,
gotta
that's
check
right.
that.
No, there's
I know we've
quite
done
often our elementary schools are over there.
This is what I think about, so I believe our fan of the books is also very much.
And that's
here, I believe.
Yeah, it's gonna be it.
just ask you about these live stream things. So there's some pocket tonight in the corner.
Majority is in the auditorium and anything that's scheduled over here. Usually they reach out to me, but yeah.
Okay, so that on the books is
Yep.
live stream.
Yep.
That's great. I just want to do a shout out. I know I'm always a month behind, but for the February Proud to be a Champion bill, Darlene and Kathy, it's great to be able to see those videos. I know we have some are they out. I know there's one that was out, right, for March? Friday, okay. So I'm not saying anything, I probably know, but I'm not saying anything. You're going to have to tune in and look at our, website and check what?
Okay.
Yes, we have all of our Proud to be Champions. They've been kind of lining up nicely over there, so that's wonderful. I love the reactions of our staff and our workers who are chosen. They are honored. You can see the pride beaming from them when they are.
Two of the best.
Oh, two better than Miss Noel. Oh, all right. I can't wait to see it. Fantastic. So there's that. There's probably a lot more to say, but I'm just gonna close it up for this evening and say thank you. Oh, I did want to ask. There was something I was going to ask Kate, and it just kind of went right out my head. So, oh, I know, it was you I was going to ask.
Okay.
Well, there's something for Kate, but that will be. I'll bring that in. The whole widget. Are we further, closer? Are we getting it? Any progress in there? Is there an update that you can bring us next week?
This Thursday, Mark? When are we meeting? Thursday. This Thursday, Mark and I are actually meeting with the Swidget people. I know that the Swidget team has been meeting with the Fulton Junior High pilot teachers, and I got some of their feedback because I was out by the pole greeting kids one morning, and one of the teachers who's part of it said we actually talked about it. He's a first responder outside of school. So it's really neat to hear his conversation and his points of view. And I've taken that to Mark, and we've had that conversation. The next step is to have a conversation with Swidget to get a feel from where they're at with things as well. So that's where we're at. We'll provide an update after that meeting.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for all of that. We do not have an executive session, but if we can, after closing the meeting, just kind of sit down for a minute for a quick little retreat.
Do you need a different space?
It doesn't matter.
We're going to want to try to.
Where are you? There, second public snack. Oh yeah, we're having snack. Second public health, anyone fighting tonight? Anyone got lunch choice on?